Hello! Today we're gonna be building one of my all-time favorite types of cars. A 1970s land yacht. A proper big old American luxury car. Uh, Post fuel crisis, so it has a very big engine with a rather modest power output. This one is, as you can see on the badge, 696 cubic inches or 11.4 liters in metric units. This car is loosely based on a 1971 to 78 Cadillac Eldorado. It's front wheel drive, but the body in and of itself is, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a Plymouth Satellite, Roadrunner, something like that. And yeah, I'm gonna begin by showing you the paints that I've used for this car. And so we got a lot of standard default paints here, and for the exterior we have this particular color in the simple color selection menu with a high shine and a medium flake. And for the interior, I have two different colors actually, so I can make it two-tone if I want, but currently these are the same. As you can see, everything is just one tone. And this is leather, and here you can see all the values, the hex and all that. Yes, so that was it for the colors. And now we're gonna take a look at the technical specifications of this thing. So again, I'm using this body with a 3.2 meter wheelbase, and for panel material I'm using steel ladder frame, steel chassis material, and the engine is transversely mounted at the front. I'm not sure if you can get front wheel drive with a longitudinally mounted engine. I don't actually think I've tried that yet, but maybe I will in the future. Front suspension double wishbone. Interestingly, this car, well, not exactly this one, but the inspiration, the 1971 to 78 Cadillac Eldorado, seems to have a solid axle at the rear, even though it's front wheel drive, which I think is kind of peculiar, but it seems that way. I haven't been able to really find much information about it. If you happen to know yourself, please leave a comment. It's convertible with a hidden automatic soft top. Also, I forgot to mention the quality is turned down a little because you know, that was the style at the time in the American auto industry. And yeah. Oh, some things I need to mention regarding the fixtures on this thing. You see this emblem here. I put another emblem, the same one, at the back side here, because otherwise the emblem is gonna be invisible from the backside, so that's good to know. And yeah, also if you wonder how I made it, how I took the top down, I made the top transparent, and then I placed a square fixture over the rear window and made it transparent, so that the windshield and the side windows are basically all that's left. And you get this geezer convertible look. front wheel drive, like I said, and 696 cubic inch V8, 90-degree V8 cast iron, 121mm bore, 118mm stroke, push rod, iron heads. Quality is turned up because American engines from this time period are kind of known for being overbuilt. Oh yeah, its final displacement is exactly 11,400 cubic centimeters. Forged internals all the way, harmonic damper, a very heavy one. Low 8.8 to 1 compression because yeah, that was the norm back then essentially, and also a very mild cam because yeah, mild cams, low compression, choked up exhaust systems and stuff like that. That was just what the American auto manufacturers did in the 70's in order to get such low outputs. Like the Cadillac 500 cubic inch V8 had like 180 horsepower at its lowest, so yeah, naturally aspirated. One 4-barrel carburetor, quite small, and I also made it run quite lean because lean burn was one of those technologies that was also in style in the 70's. Retarded timing because yeah, that also was something that they did back then to get lower emissions and stuff, and it runs on the lowest quality gas possible. Yeah, compact intake manifold again because these engines were really choked up from the factory back then, and I want to make this thing as realistic as possible. Compact headers, single exhaust, exhaust reactor, and if you're wondering what that is, that's essentially what's known as a secondary air injection pump, I believe, a smog pump. Two reverse flow mufflers to make this thing quiet. It's a luxury car after all, so you can see it's pretty choked up and only makes 318 horsepower out of 11.4 liters. It does have a pretty sturdy torque curve though. Idles at 500 RPM. Automatic 3-speed transmission. The real-life Cadillac Eldorado from this period had a THM 425 transmission, I believe it was called. Oh, and here you can see the gearing, and we're running a regular open differential, +4 quality, because GM transmissions from this period were like the engines known to be like very overbuilt. And yeah, like I said, the transmission in the real-life Cadillac Eldorado was a THM 425 3-speed. It's essentially a turbo hydromatic 400 that is designed for front-wheel drive. It's placed underneath the engine and to the side with a big chain connecting the two. Radial tires medium, 265s front and rear. I would have liked to make the tire diameter bigger, but 720 was the highest number I could go for here. Steel rims, quality doesn't need to be that high. Solid disc 1-piston brakes in the front. I maximized the size because this thing weighs 2,561 kilos, so it's gonna need some stopping power. Drum brakes in the rear, 80% rear brake force. I would have liked to go with more comfort oriented pads, but I had to leave it at 50 because like I said, this thing needs a lot of stopping power. No under tray, no aero stuff. Cooling is at 60 and brake airflow at 35 because this thing really needs that to not get brake fade. Cadillac was a very high-end brand in the 70s, so I went for a high handmade interior and a luxury cassette. I would have liked to go for a bigger rear seat, but for some reason this is all that I could this is all you can do. I went I went full on heavy here because the car is supposed to be really heavy, and hydraulic ball, power steering, no traction aids, standard 70s safety. I shifted the weight a little bit towards the rear because this thing is really front heavy. Progressive springs, twin tube dampers, passive sway bars, and here you can see the suspension setup. I've been fiddling around with this for a good while, but it's really hard to make this thing drive, somewhat well and feel realistic at the same time. I got a whole slew of warnings here because the suspension is too soft and all that, but I wanted to go for a relatively high roll angle because these cars were kind of soft and mushy, but yeah, if you want to fiddle around with this yourself and maybe try to find a better setup, feel free to do so, and if you want to, please leave a comment about what you changed, because this thing doesn't really drive all that well. Yeah, well, I think we're done, and now we can take this thing to BeamNG and try it out. Alright, here we are. Very easy to break the tires loose with all that torque. The main problem with this car is understeer. Like I said, I fiddle around with it a lot, but I never really managed to totally fix this problem. But I guess these cars never were built to handle anyways. It's got quite a bit of body roll, as you can see, but I wanted it that way to make it realistic. We got no ABS, but since you're gonna be driving this car pretty carefully anyways, you don't really need it. I'm quite content with the gearing. It only revs like 1700 RPM at 100 kilometers per hour in top gear, I think. Yeah, about accurate, I'd say. Yeah, it's a pretty pleasant cruiser, this thing, but driving it off-road is basically not impossible, but it's a real challenge. I'm gonna show you an attempt here. It really doesn't obey your commands, especially down here. It's really tough to get it to steer here. Yeah, you can take this corner at like 30 kilometers per hour. Yeah, well, here you have it. 70's American land yacht. I really love the aesthetic of these cars. So yeah, that's about it.